and welcome to another episode of Sweet Tea and Thread. I'm Shai.
And I'm Bethany. Thank you so much for joining us again this week. And we'd like to welcome any new visitors to the podcast. If you like it, we would really appreciate it if you'd give us a nice little thumbs up. Leave us a comment down below and consider subscribing so that you get updated when we upload.
Yes, we would love to have you subscribe. So we're just going to go ahead and dive right into some finished projects. I don't really... Bethany has a lot. It's going to be the Bethany show today. I have a few things. I feel like I've been knitting, but not a whole lot of finished objects. And my objects today are pretty simple. First up is a dishcloth baby blanket. And if you're familiar with the grandmother's dishcloth, it starts in the corner with 3 or 4 stitches and then increases to a certain point and then decreases. That's what this is, and I used 6 skeins of Berroco's Comfort Chunky, and I think it makes a great little baby blanket, about 36 by 36, so you can see about how big it is.
It's really soft, really drapey.
Mm-hmm.
And the Comfort is acrylic and nylon,
yes.
I believe.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of our more affordable options, but it's great
yes.
for a lot of like baby knits.
Mm-hmm.
And it knits up really pretty.
It knits up pretty. It washes great.
I mean, it crochets beautifully too.
Right.
We showed a crochet blanket, I don't know, first or second podcast that was made out of the worsted weight version. So
yeah,
it's great for a variety of projects.
Right. And I've done several of these to give as baby gifts, and they always seem to be well received. So there's that, and that's always fun and a great, marathon Netflix or somebody to knit that with.
And it's chunky. So
and it's chunky, so goes pretty fast. And then I have some half FOs. Socks again. We got some new colors in the Knit-col, and so I've started knitting up some socks in some of the new colorways, and I still have to do the second sock, and it comes in.
These are just a few of the colors.
Yeah, a few of the new colors.
But it's self-striping, so it does the work for you.
I feel like these new colors are real happy colors.
They are,
too.
Especially this. Like, I loved this one, which actually, that kind of segues into mine.
Yeah, it does.
So, when we got this in, we kind of wanted to have a sample knit up in all the colorways so that people could see. And so, I took 5 of the colorways and did baby hats, and then Shai took the other 2 and did socks. And the pattern that I used, just get this out of the way so I can look at my notes. So this is the Child Self-Striping Hat by Janet Russell. This is the extra small. So this size only uses 1 skein of the Knit-col, and you have enough left over to do a really nice pom-pom. So this is a really simple, easy knit. I used a US size 6 knitting needle, and some of these I knit on 9-inch circular, some of them I knit on magic loop. Just kind of switched it up.
Yeah.
This is another example. This one we decided, we love the ones where you make the pom-pom out of the same yarn, because it's kind of fun, but we also love some of our faux fur pom-poms. So that's an example of one with that, and that bright yellow just kind of really looks really great with that colorway. So I knit 5 of these in the course of 3 or 4 days.
Oh my god, yes. I mean, she whipped through those pretty fast.
It's a vanilla project, so this goes by really quickly. And this was kind of like in between when I was trying to finish up that butterfly shawl, so it was a great just breathing project that I could just
But we thought we would knit something up in all the colorways because the last set of Knit-col we had, the one colorway we had something knitted up in sold out pretty quick, and then the others were a little more slow moving. And so I said, this time we're knitting up. They want to see it in all its glory, every colorway. So that's what we did, and we think they're really pretty. So
Yeah.
And then the other thing that I'm working on is my socks. I showed you this one last time in the earth yarn, and I'm just about through with the second one. And what I wanted y'all to see was this earth
The stripe
unique.
repeat.
Yeah, the unique worsted is more of a gradient stripe. Then so you're not going to get identical socks. As you can see, as I said, they're
nobody wears matching socks.
right. They're not identical twins. They're fraternal twins. But the person that will be getting these will love it because their favorite colors are green and orange. So
They're lucky.
yeah. So it's a fun, to me it's a fun yarn to knit with too.
I
So-
need somebody to knit socks for me. I have to knit socks for my. You
put you in my rotation?
Go ahead. I knit socks for myself, and then I knit socks for my mom. I've knit it for my sister. You know, I've done it for other people before, but I haven't ever been gifted a pair of socks. So
We'll have to work on that. And guess who doesn't have her own pair of socks? Because she's always giving them to someone else. So,
yeah.
But that's kind of it for me, and so we're going to be turning it all over to Bethany now.
A lot. Okay, so the next thing, let's go ahead and talk about this really
You've been
quick.
really busy.
I have been busy, but they're simple projects.
Yes.
They're not really complicated, which is great because you work on something that is a little bit more complicated, and sometimes you need a lot of simple projects.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I made, I decided that once I had finished knitting the daily sweater out of the Plymouth Forget-Me-Not yarn, I had enough of the pink left over that I could do a hat. And then I had enough of these other two, the green and the kind of taupey gray. You can't really tell too much, but I had enough of those left over that I just wanted to do a really basic chunky hat. I didn't use a pattern. I rarely use a pattern for just my basic vanilla hats. I want to say I cast on 70 or 74 stitches. I can probably go back and count the rib to tell, but typically I'll knit either 1.5 inches to 2 inches of the ribbing, and then I knit the hat till the length measures 8 inches from the beginning, so from where I cast on, and then I decrease. So, and then I had enough that I just made a really crazy pom-pom out of the rest.
It's kind of a recipe instead of a pattern.
Yeah, and I knit my socks the same way. I have a recipe for my socks. I don't really follow a pattern.
Yeah, same way I do for the socks I do.
But you actually had a really good idea for how to come up with your own recipe for a hat.
Right.
So
It's to get your starting point. If you take your yarn, and so this can be whatever yarn you want to use. It will work if you're using fingering, worsted, DK, whatever. If you take the length of your yarn and wrap it around your head, and then take that length and triple it, that gives you the amount you need to cast on for a long tail cast on. And then you just need to make sure if you're going to do a 2x2 rib that it's in multiples of 4, what you've casted on, and that you've left, your 6 inches to weave in or whatever, and then just start from there. And then you can measure, wherever you want that hat to hit on your ear, measure from there over, divide that, and by 2, and knit that length, and then start your decreases. And you may want to knit a little more, like another inch or 2, if you want to do some really fast decreases, instead of the, if you did it in multiples of 10, then you would want to knit 8, knit 2 together, knit 8, knit 2 together. But if you want to do faster decreases than that, knit 2 together until you have just a few stitches to pull up, and
Yeah.
and be done. So you just need to, just a few measurements, and you can pretty much come up with your own hat recipe. And this
Yeah.
has been tested. I did it with the children that I taught knitting at an elementary school that my children went to, and their hats all turned out great and fit. So, yeah.
Yeah. So that can be kind of a fun way for you to design your own hat.
Yeah.
And I mean, when I went to put in the stripe, this was kind of right before I started the decreases. I just did 3 rows of each color. So, you can do something fun like that. Add a little texture into it if you want to maybe change up the stitch. But yeah.
And I love the way you did the pom-pom. It's a real loose pom-pom. That's real. And you did mention that this was your leftover yarn from your sweater.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, great way to do like a scrap busting project. Because that sweater, this pink, I ended up having to get 2 skeins just to finish that little stripe on the sleeve. And there was more than enough left that I knew I could do something else with it. So,
Yeah.
the hat was born.
I think it's just really adorable.
So,
Just really, really
that
cute.
was a lot of fun. Still me.
Yep, still you. It's going to be you the rest of the show.
Oh, so the next thing, if you remember last time, I showed this little wrist warmer. This is the Traveling Cables wrist warmers by Purl Soho. You can see the little thumb hole right there. I'll put it on. But this was made out of Plymouth Davila. I'll let you hold that up. This is 100% merino. It's not superwash, so don't agitate this or throw it in the washing machine and dryer because it will felt. But I finished the second one, so I have a pair now.
But it's still pretty scrumptious.
It is.
It's
really
soft.
It's soft. It's really squishy. The ply on it kind of lends itself to being really squishy.
Yeah,
so.
it's a pretty heavy twist.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think they're great colors. And the stitch definition in this, your cables look amazing.
Yeah, I was really happy with how those cables turned out.
Mm-hmm.
So, this was a Purl Soho pattern, which is free. I love, Purl Soho for that reason.
And love free.
And I love free. I used 2 skeins of this Davila. I would not have been able to get away with 1. But I have enough left over of my skeins that I'm going to add maybe like this color and do maybe a colorwork hat where this isn't really prominent. This is kind of the main color. So again, using up your scraps. But I knit these with a US size 4, which I believe the pattern recommended. But these are going to be great. Just kind of nice.
Mm-hmm. They feel delicious.
I love them. So I would probably make these again.
Mm-hmm.
But then, what else did I have?
Are you going to show your colorwork sweater?
My colorwork sweater. Okay.
Move on to works
My
in
works
progress.
in progress. Okay, so I'm going to preface this with a little backstory. I absolutely love it when Christy Glass does her Rhinebeck sweater video, and I always get a bunch of inspiration, and that's kind of what made me want to knit sweaters, is watching all of these beautiful sweaters people would make for Rhinebeck. So last year Kaitlin Hunter was wearing a new design of hers, and it's called Ramblin Woman. So let me get the bag. I cast on her Ramblin Woman sweater, and it took me a year to figure out yarns, to pick out yarns. One of them that I'm using is this same cream Davila. It's a DK weight sweater. And then I have a bunch of fingering. Some of it's stuff that I've picked up as souvenir yarn. Some of it's stuff I've bought here. Some of it's my stuff. But the fingering, I'm just holding double in the color work. And it is a steep sweater, so I'm really excited I get to cut my knitting.
Mm-hmm.
Most people are like, oh my gosh, you're going to cut your knitting. And I'm like, it's fine.
Yeah.
It'll
It's
work
gonna be
out.
fun.
It's going to be so much fun. And I may do a video of me cutting it because it will be a lot of fun. But, so, there's my steek. You can see a little bit of that color work. I'm still technically kind of on the yoke, I guess you would say. Haven't gotten to where I split for the sleeves yet, but it is beautiful. So like this up here is 2 yarns held double. This is 2 of my colors. It's Midnight Blue and Dragon's Blood. And then this is a new gold that I just dyed. And so the next batch that I'll be bringing into the store at some point will probably have that in it. The Davila. And then this is like an orange that I got as a souvenir from, I think Smoky Mountain Spinnery. It was up in the Smoky Mountains. We went up there one summer. So that's a skein that I picked up there. But I have a bunch of other yarn that I'm using. And I'm not going to show a lot because it is kind of mostly fingering. But I wanted to show you.
The sweater's going to be gorgeous.
This is going in it. It's got fuzzies all over it, but yeah. This is some of the newer yarn that we've gotten in, and it's Malabrigo. So this will be my first time knitting with Malabrigo, and I can't wait till I get to this section. But one thing I wanted to show as well is how gorgeous some of these colors are. Mm-hmm. And I almost got this to replace that orange.
That would have been pretty too, but what you're using is beautiful.
And if I run out of that orange, because I didn't really calculate if I was going to have enough of that color, I'll probably pick this up. But, you know, one thing I wanted to kind of say in regards to the sweater is I'm not using yarn, all of the yarn from here, but you can do that. Like, you go stash diving in your own stash. Look through the souvenir skeins that you've bought when you've been traveling. See what you have. Something like a colorwork sweater is going to be great for that. A colorwork hat's going to be the same way. Right. Maybe a 2 or 3 color shawl. And look at what you have. Look at the yardages on the project of your choice. And then go to your local yarn shop and see what can pair with it. Because 9 times out of 10, you're going to find something.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, there's 1,000,001 different types of yarn out there.
For true.
So, but I'm going to kind of put this on hold a little bit. I have another sweater I want to finish. And then I'll get back to this. But this is addictive. Colorwork sweaters are addictive for me. It's something about going through and knitting. You're like, oh, I want to see this motif. Oh, I'll just do the next row. Oh, well, I got through that row quick enough. I might as well do another row. And sooner or later you realize it's 2 o'clock at night. You have class the next morning. So, oops.
Well, it's going to be beautiful. I can't wait to see it all finished up.
Yeah. I'm going to be really excited when it's done.
All right. So, what's next?
That's all my finished objects.
Did you bring the boho hat?
No, I didn't. It's back
Where
here.
did we stash it?
We stashed it back here.
Yeah.
And then we grabbed this too.
Yeah.
So I did forget about this.
Lots of baby hats.
Sorry. So this is an Appalachian baby pattern. Look at the cute little beret. It makes me think of a mushroom too. This is the Boho baby hat. It is an Appalachian baby pattern, and I used Appalachian baby yarn, and this little cuff is some of the leftovers from the 4-corner bag that I showed last time. So that was Hampton yarn. It's a cotton linen blend, but there's also a lot of really pretty colors in the Appalachian baby that could replace this. I made this because we got this new color, Huckleberry red.
Yeah, I love it.
It is just really beautiful, vibrant. It goes with everything.
Yes.
It goes with their indigo. It goes with all their neutrals. Like, this is such a great yarn. And so I think it used about half of this for the hat, and then 3-5 grams of yarn for this. I mean, this really scrap buster right here. You could also do it out of the same yarn. You don't have to do the contrasting cuff.
Right.
But this was knit on a US 7 needle. And like I said, it's Appalachian baby pattern. You can find it on their website, and they also have it on Ravelry. So both places. It's fun too. So,
Yeah, it was a pretty cool little pattern.
yeah, and the purl side, so it does go back and forth between knitting and purling. This is the purl side on the outside. But
Yeah,
if you
yeah.
kinda
So it's done flat.
flip it over, which I didn't realize at first.
Yeah.
I started knitting in the round. I'm like, this rib isn't working out, but it does. But that's the knit side.
Yeah.
So,
It's knitted flat and then seamed together. So.
but it's really fun. And this I knit in 2 days.
There you go.
I've been crazy. So
It's adorable.
I'm done. That should be it.
That's in for works in progress.
Works
and-
in progress, finished objects.
All right. And so then you want to talk about some new in store and some of the lovely yarn you've brought in.
How about you talk about Arno first?
Arno. Arno is a new yarn that we've gotten in from Berroco. It's a DK weight. It's a wool cotton blend, and I'm telling you, it feels pretty scrumptious. It's not a it doesn't have a lot of twist to it, but it knits up beautifully. I've just done, we just got it in and we haven't had time to knit up a sample out of it, but I did knit up a swatch, and we did get a sample in.
We
that
got a
Bethany's
sample
wear.
from Berroco.
Yeah, so what is that shawl
but-
called? You've got the tag.
Beatriz Shawl by Allison Green, and this uses 3 balls of Arno on a US 7.
Yeah.
So
it's a real cute shawl, an interesting stitch pattern.
yeah, it's really kind of crazy. And when we got it, it wasn't blocked. So this does grow when you block it. I took it home, but look at
And it made an unbelievable difference.
It did.
When
This is another one of those shawls that you'll knit and you'll be like, oh my gosh, this is tiny. Block it.
Mhm.
It'll work out.
Yeah.
But it's kind of really interesting, and I like wearing it around my neck.
Yeah, I think it looks great.
So.
But the yarn feels delicious, and when I blocked this little swatch, I was telling Bethany I just let it soak in the sink, and I wrung it out with didn't wring it out, rolled it up in a towel, and then I draped it over the back of a chair to dry. It didn't really grow or anything, so I mean it stayed pretty much the same size
Yeah.
from when I knitted it up. So and it's another one of those yarns that just feels kind of scrumptious.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, and the stitch on it, like the stitch definition, is really pretty too.
mm-hmm.
If you can kind of see that. But yeah, I looked at this once she showed me her swatch, and I'm like, I want a sweater out of this.
Yeah.
Like pretty much every new yarn we get in, it's like, I want a sweater out of that. Do I have time? No. Stop dreaming of sweaters, Bethany. But
Okay, and then
back to me,
back to you.
the host of today's podcast.
Yep. I'm just here to be your straight man.
Oh, so I finally got some of the new yarn that I've been working on in store. We have 2 new bases that we're carrying now. This is an MCN fingering weight that is 70% superwash fine merino, 20% nylon, and 10% cashmere. So we have a couple of
You need help you
new
hold?
colors.
Yeah, she did some gorgeous colors. They really
Those
are
are just
pretty.
a few of them. I tried to kind of go with a rainbow. So, I don't have a red. Well, I do. This is kind of a red.
Mm-hmm.
Cinnamon.
Yeah,
Cinnamon kind of works as a red.
yes.
There's a blue, there's a purple, there's pink, green, yellow, pretty much anything. So, anyway, some of them are previous colorways that we've had. Some of them are new colorways. I have a few that are one of a kinds, so they won't get dyed again because they were either happy mistakes or they were too complicated to the point where I was like, this is not going to be a regular occurring colorway.
This feels really good.
Oh, it does. Yeah. I kind of want something out of a cashmere fingering weight, because I mean, it's one thing for people to talk about how wonderful it feels, but then to actually feel it, like, this is amazing. And then the other base that we brought in, we carried a worsted weight before, but we decided to go with an Aran weight because there's a lot of new patterns that are using Aran weight.
There really is.
So it's just a little bit thicker than a worsted. This one is 70%, no, hold on, 90% superwash merino, 10% mulberry silk. So you can kind of,
and again, some beautiful colors.
see. I think this pink is probably the only color that is not in the fingering weight. But all of these others you can also get in the new fingering weight. So these are all old colors. Well, not old, but
Previous
colors. So we have amethyst, silver fox, Persian jewel. This one's new. This one is pink dreams, which is going to be probably a one of a kind. It's kind of a hard pink for me to get. And then I forgot to say what these were. Oh, and look, I brought even a neon. Those are fun.
Very fun.
Dear Diary. Leapfrog.
Cute.
Cinnamon, which you saw earlier. I love this color. I wouldn't mind having a sweater out of that too. This is Jolly Green Giant. The interesting thing about this one's kind of a one-of-a-kind Jolly Green Giant because there's red speckles in it, which you can kind of see. Let's see if you can. You might not be able to see in this light, but this one's goldenrod. It's a really pretty golden yellow.
It really
But yeah.
is. Yeah, it is.
So, there's a couple other colors. I don't think I showed all the colors, but, you know, stop by. We have fun, bright colors. We have some more jewel tones. Tried to do a variety so that people would kind of be able to pick something that they liked. But,
Yeah, and they're all gorgeous. All right, is that all for our yarn
I think
endeavors?
that's it.
And then Bethany has sewing.
Oh my gosh. I'll take this off so you can see.
Yeah.
So, I made this last year, but this is the Lark tee by Grainline Studios, and it has their add-on turtleneck. I forgot what that was called for a second. This was made out of a Robert Kaufman knit, I believe. We don't carry this stripe anymore, but we do have a lot of really pretty solids over there that I kind of want to make one of these out of. It's a great basic. It's also a great beginner pattern as far as, like, if you want to learn how to sew on knits. This is a good beginner pattern. It comes, the original pattern comes with 4 different lengths of sleeves. So there's the long sleeve, there's a 3/4 length, a regular like t-shirt, and then a cap sleeve. And then it comes with 4 different necks. There's a boat neck, a crew neck, a scoop neck, and then a V-neck. And I've done all of them.
Yeah, lots of options in that pattern.
And you get this turtleneck option in one of their add-ons for it. If you go to their website, they have it. It's a PDF download only, I believe. But it comes with skirt options, as well as 2 additional collar options that you use with the crew neck version. So I've made 2 dresses from that pattern as well. It's a versatile pattern. I love it. I'm going to make all of my t-shirts from that pattern probably.
Yeah, it fits great.
Yeah.
Everybody I've seen make one. It looks really good on, and so versatile. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you don't really need another
Yeah.
t-shirt pattern. So, all right. Well, I think that's it for us today, right? We haven't forgotten anything.
I hope not.
So,
I talked a lot.
yeah.
I hope not.
Yeah. Well, Bethany and I have different teas today. I'm having iced tea. She's moved on to hot tea because it's just about sweater weather around
When I
here.
checked the weather earlier today, it was a nice 51 degrees. And it said that it was supposed to get up in the mid 60s, which for me is cold enough that I can wear a long sleeve and drink warm tea, really. Not super hot, but so that's what I'm doing.
So
today.
I'm having black currant tea from Argo Teas, and unfortunately I looked it up today and it doesn't seem to be available. Argo Tea, I first discovered them on a visit to Chicago. It's a little tea cafe, but they do have an online presence, and so you can order from them. They have some other lovely teas. But this is one I've had for a little while, and it's yummy, and I'm sorry they don't have it available now, but
I mean, they may bring it back.
Yeah, they
It
could.
could have been
They
a
could.
seasonal thing, because some of those companies
maybe
do
so. It
that.
could, since they were serving it iced at the shop because it was spring or summer that I was there, that maybe I didn't realize it was seasonal, so maybe it'll come
Yeah.
back this next spring or something. So we'll just have to see. But it's yummy just the same. So if you see anybody else with some black currant tea, you might give it
Yeah.
a try.
And then
So-
I'm drinking Twinings tea. I mean, you can get it in any of the grocery stores around here. This is the Ceylon. Did you say it was Ceylon?
Ceylon. Mhm.
I looked at her earlier and I'm like, I don't know how to pronounce this. It's orange Pekoe tea. And it's a very light tea. It's lovely. And so, for cool weather, I don't really want a hard-hitting hot
Right.
tea or an herbal.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll drink an herbal tea, but I love this.
Yeah.
So
Anyway, we appreciate you joining us today, and you have a good evening.
bye-bye.
Bye.